The deception was deepening. Tonight, the investigation of Margaret Rudin, the Black Widow of Las Vegas, was in full swing. Now, she was suspected of murdering her millionaire husband, Ron Rudin, in late 1994. Now she's set for release from prison after 20 years next month.
But at the time, investigators, they were worried that she might not face justice at all. That was until a surprise was found at the bottom of Lake Mead. And 13 investigative reporter Joe Bartels also explains the key mistake made in the case in the third part of our series, Black Widow, Web of Deception.
They had no idea that they were being followed.
He was the mystery man police really wanted to talk to. Letters and messages pointed to a budding romance between Yehuda Sharon, an Israeli national with dual citizenship in the U.S., and Margaret, a married woman and now a suspect in a murder mystery.
And so we spoke with Yehuda at length, and he said, "Oh, we're just friends. I did some computer work for her, and there's nothing more than that relationship." Well, we found that was not the case at all.
Police surveilled Margaret and Yehuda, snapping photos of the pair together. The deception was deepening, and investigators explored the possibility that Margaret had help in her husband's murder. The only problem, authorities thought they could get Yehuda to flip on his lover in order to get a true bill, a murder indictment on Margaret.
The position at the time from the DA was that without Yehuda's testimony, we wouldn't be able to get a true bill against Margaret. We felt otherwise. We felt that we had enough evidence against, number one, Margaret, and then also against Yehuda.
Investigators found a receipt for a rental van from Yehuda, one capable of carrying an antique trunk. It was rented at the same time as Ron's disappearance. The mileage didn't add up, and it was seen at the Rudin's home. Police looked at other physical factors too. Ron was over 6 feet tall and 220 pounds.
Ron was a big man, and there was no way she could have physically taken him off of the bed, put him into this humpback trunk, and then load him into a vehicle and have it transported out to Nelson's Landing.
The evidence was lining up, but still there was pushback from the district attorney's office. Prosecutors wanted more information from Yehuda about Margaret, so he was given immunity in exchange for flipping on Margaret.
We said, he's not going to talk, he's not going to tell us what we need to know, but you know, that decision wasn't ours to make, and the DA ultimately gave him immunity for anything to do with that murder investigation. He gets up in front of the grand jury and didn't say a word, didn't give up one bit of information.
Yehuda was free to go, and Margaret remained under suspicion but not charged.
In my view, it was a mistake. I think the DA didn't feel that we could have gotten any more evidence against Yehuda. We felt that we had a pretty good amount of evidence indicating that he was, number one, involved with Margaret, had an affair with her, and was directly involved with disposal of the body. And we had evidence to substantiate all of that.
The case against her, purely circumstantial. Margaret began fighting in civil court for Ron's millions of dollars in assets. She would end up being awarded $600,000 of Ron's wealth. But then, another twist. A diver at Lake Mead found a gun wrapped in plastic 15 feet below the water's surface. Police checked the serial number. It was reported missing by Ron Rudin. It had also disappeared after he married Margaret and she moved into his home. Test firings matched the bullets found in Ron's skull. Police now had the murder weapon. A second grand jury in 1997 deciding there was enough evidence for Margaret to now face murder charges, but Margaret was not going to stick around.
And she goes on the lam for more than 2 years, and she wears wigs and disguises. She bought books on how to disguise yourself. She even was recognized when she was in Arizona. America's Most Wanted TV show did a segment on her, and she was recognized, and they called the police.
Margaret was on the run, a fugitive from justice, but she was able to fool police twice in Arizona, convincing them she was somebody else.
She stayed on the run for more than 2 years. She ends up living with a guy in Massachusetts under an assumed name, wigs, new look, all this sort of stuff, and just begins a whole new life completely out in the open.
Margaret's luck ran out. A tip to authorities led them to Revere, Massachusetts, and in October 1999, a full 2 years after she was indicted, Margaret was under arrest and headed to trial.
Everybody talked about it. It was in the paper daily.
This is what Margaret Rudin looked like when corrections officers booked her.
It was on every news station daily. Everyone wanted to know more. It was almost a bit of a feeding frenzy because you have so many unknowns.
Margaret, the soft-spoken grandmother, was in a jail jumpsuit back in Las Vegas. The stage was set for a circus-like trial, one that Las Vegas had never seen before. There were more twists and turns ahead. A key witness takes the stand. Margaret's own sister flips on her and spills everything she knows. The trial and the unforgettable characters, that's tomorrow night, live at 11. Joe Bartels, 13 Investigates.